All right. I'm not sure if you're live. Hello, guys. Uh, but I will check the stream. And yeah, and if someone joins the stream, please let me know if you can see the stream. There's gonna be 5 minutes delay, so but I will just wait 5 minutes and see if the stream has started or not. So. Yeah, actually, I haven't checked if the stream is working with the delay. I have checked yeah, with no delay. So I'm not sure how it's gonna work out. Yeah, as soon as I'm gonna see myself on the screen live, then I'm gonna start not the show but the stream. Yeah. Yeah, so actually if the stream has started, then yeah, it's still gonna be 3 minutes until I'm not gonna talk and nothing's gonna happen because I'm not sure if I'm alive or not. Yeah. I have posted the link on Twitter and on my Facebook page. So if we are friends on Facebook or if you follow me on Twitter, you can just yeah, share the link to your friends or something. Then I would be happy if a lot of people would join the stream. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be a good stream because this is gonna be my first Twitch stream ever. So. All right, I'm gonna mute my phone, of course, so no one disturbs me. Yeah, so stream should be starting in 2 seconds, I guess. So I should be live now, to be honest, but I'm not sure. Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so it seems like I have been live the whole time, these 5 minutes. So yeah, so welcome everyone to my first ever live stream on Twitch. The Twitch site I'm gonna be streaming for, it's a Hungarian poker site who asked me some months ago if I could stream for them some Pot Limit Omaha, which is my favorite and main game. And there are probably some of you who don't know me. I am, as you can see on the screen, danfiu. I'm playing under this screen name on PokerStars, and I have been playing exclusively Pot Limit Omaha for the last, I would say between 6 and 8 years, and I've been pretty much enjoying it. It has been kind of been a long ride, but so yeah, I'm gonna stream a little bit of Zoom 500 or Zoom 100 or something, and yeah, and I'm gonna be monitoring the chat through the stream. So anyone, if anyone is gonna join the chat, please write in if how's the sound and the picture quality. And as I mentioned, there's going to be a 5-minute delay. So yeah, actually, and I chose actually the format of Zoom. I chose the format of Zoom because I find it much more, instructional. And the reason why I said some months ago for this site that I don't want to stream for them is that I didn't want to give too much information, about my strategy and how I approach some situations and stuff. But then they kept asking me, and I was like, yeah, okay, why not? So I'm gonna test myself as a streamer, and probably it's gonna be like a one and done approach. And but yeah, if it's gonna work out good, then I'm gonna stream every 2 or 3 months or something, some lower stakes stuff just for fun. And yeah, that's it. All right, it seems like there are 2 guys in the chat. In this someone, yeah, and I didn't mention that the stream is gonna be exclusively in English, but there may be some Hungarian people who would join the stream. So if anyone is gonna ask a question in Hungarian, I will probably translate it to English and then answer it in English, or if it's gonna be, I don't know, some Hungarian related stuff, I would probably answer in Hungarian, but most of the stream is gonna be in English. So yeah, and there's one more thing. I'm not gonna stream my HUD. I have a HUD up and running, but yeah, I couldn't figure out a way how to stream the HUD. It's not a big deal because I don't really play that much of a Zoom 500, and I separate my hands from Zoom and regular tables. So yeah, actually. All right, so the reason someone asked is why does it say big blind and not dollar? Yeah, the reason I'm doing this because it's much more easy to calculate the bet sizes and how I wanna make the multi-street game planning. So I find it much more convenient. And in the past I was struggling from that if I saw the dollar, big amount when I took shots, it was causing me a bit of anxiousness, or how to say. So if it's displayed in big blinds, then it's not a big of a deal. So yeah, just let me know how's the sound and the picture quality, and then I think I will wait a bit more until some people joining, and then I will start the stream. And I will basically just talk about some main concepts, some main things. They're not going to be that much strategy involved, I think, or I will be cautious what I'm going to say, but obviously I'm going to distribute some information and some knowledge of mine. So I think it's going to be good. Yeah. All right. So I think, let me check one more thing. Actually, I wasn't sure if I was gonna stream in 4K or 1080p with 60 FPS, but I thought that obviously 4K would be a better option, but then it wasn't working out well. And of course, I haven't mentioned that this stream is gonna be between 1.5 hours and 3 hours. So yeah, it's gonna depend how tired I will be and how basically that's it. So okay, all right, let's jump into the action. There's currently 46 entries in the Zoom 500 pool. I think I'm gonna be starting off streaming some Zoom 500 because I know the player pool. Yeah, just let me know if you find the Poker Stars noise disturbing and stuff. Then I'm gonna switch it off. All right, so I'm gonna call table left. Table number 1, where we have the Ace Jack 5-5 double suited. Yeah, there's an unknown guy from South Korea. He limps in for around 60 big blinds. If he limp raises, then I think I'm just gonna ISO fold, because the default range I give people when limp raising unknown is obviously aces. So I don't have a reason to deviate from that stuff. Yeah, and probably I would bet something like 33% on this board, because the small blind has a pretty hard job to defend in the middle, and the turn is obviously pretty good for us. And now he has a hard time. Continue with open-enders and stuff. So when he calls the turn, he has something like queens, kings. I don't think he calls the turn with some straight draws. So I'm gonna be betting big, of course. And we take down the first pot in the live stream. Running good already, huh? And yeah, I'm gonna open the replayer and to see he had 2, 2, 7, 9. Yeah, it was good. All right, some short stack guy, 3-bet here. All right, so people are saying the webcam is good, bit laggy, but otherwise quality is fine. Okay, good. And obviously we're gonna 4-bet here. Right, not gonna defend on table 1. All right, 3-handed, we get it in. Probably the big blind has something rundown stuff, and the button has some kind of double suited kings or ace king king or something like that. All right, let's get it in. Yep, we managed to win it. Second, Jack, Jack 10, 5 single suited with 3 diamonds. It's gonna be full middle position. button is quite laggy, and with the 3 suits it's kind of shit to open this hand. And I hope there will be some people who after this stream would maybe start playing PLO, or maybe heard of the stream and would like to try to play the great game of pot limit, or how does Joe Ingram says. I don't know how to say it properly, but something like this. All right, 3-5 deuce board. It doesn't hit neither of their ranges, and it mostly hits my range. And when I check the board, it's gonna be checked through a lot of the time. So I'm gonna lead out pretty merged here, I would say. And since the board is rainbow, and table number 2, easy check decide. Probably maybe I'm gonna go with the versus the short stack. All right, it doesn't display on the stream, but I have all the actions and all the bet sizes are displayed on each action. So it's much easier to calculate. So it's much easier to follow the action. Oh, okay. On table number 1, we're going to check call or check whatever, because yeah, we block a lot of his continuing range and we are pretty deep, and there's not actually really streets of value. And on table number 2, we're going to just fold. And on the river, we can't really value bet. I think a lot of his straight draws bet the turn, bet the flop. So I would say he has probably something like kings or jack X or something, or probably maybe queens. But I'm not going to. I think I'm just going to check fold the river. He's pretty unknown. I have like 40 hands of him. So. All right, so I'm gonna monitor the stream and the questions. All right, it says Rookie asks if the stream is constantly freezing. I'm not sure. Hi Benjamin. Hi. Szia Benyushka. Yeah, my little brother is also watching the stream. Yeah, he's 14, so. All right. All right. Someone says, okay, picture is good. All right. Yeah, it's actually a new experiment for me, so I'm pretty curious how it goes. All right, table number 2. He has been pretty so far, so I think his calling range on the button versus EP, some like big pairs, some Broadway cards. So I would go with the half pot sizing. And it's very unlikely that I was going to say he is raising the flop. But we're going to go for a check call. And on table number 1, I think with this sizing, he doesn't include that much of an air. So I think that we can just exploit him by bet folding, check folding. And on table number 2, we're just gonna value bet versus his. I don't think he's gonna check back full house on the turn, and 5 deuce combination is not very it's not very likely in his range. So I'm gonna be playing my regular game, and but I'm not gonna share that much information about the players. I would say probably about the weaker players. You could turn off the PC sound for PokerStars. All right, I'm gonna turn off the PC sound. Okay, 1 second. And on this turn, I'm gonna barrel because I'm gonna have much more 5-6 than him, and we're blocking 5-6, and plus he's gonna have some ace-x, some pairs between 7 and ace-x with a flush draw. So okay, let me see. the sound settings. Sounds. Bye-bye sounds. All right. Ace-K King versus a short stack. We're just gonna 3-bet call and 3-bet fold probably versus the bigger stack. Not gonna defend versus Mickey. He's not that bad. I mean, he doesn't play that much. And yeah. Actually, the Zoom 500 pool, the Zoom 500 pool has improved a lot in, I would say, the last 5 months or something, half year. People start to become much more aware about some stuff which they haven't done in the past, and solvers are now coming out. Right, on table number 1, it's an easy call on the flop, and table number 2, it's the Gonti 89's range is going to be mostly aces and double suited kings, but since the flop is going to be 3 ways, and I'm guaranteed that Mickey is never going to back raise me, so I think I have the odds, and the position also matters because I'm in the middle, so I can just shove when Gonti is probably shoving nearly 100% of the flops, or something like 90. It's going to check fold pretty rarely, so I'm in the middle. I can shove and fold out Mickey's equity, and yeah, that's a good result because now Gonti is going to check fold, and we only have to be how to say? We only have to be not aware, but shit, we won both. Okay. We only have to take consideration into Mickey's how we do Mickey versus Mickey's stack of range, but we were flipping, and yeah, that's a good result. All right, so okay, people have been saying me that the stars sound has been annoying them, so I just turn them off. Right now, Zoom pool seems pretty soft, I would say. All right, versus Mickey, who 3-bets a lot. I would say I would probably limp call this hand. Versus most of the players, I would probably just open raise and 3-bet call, or sometimes 3-bet, or sometimes 4-bet. King 5-3. All right, I'm gonna bet 66%. Since we have the king blocker, we can just continue on many turns. And I think I'm gonna check call the turn on table number 1. He can bet something like 9x or some bluff, some kind of random gut shot. I'm not really interested in check raising the river since he's gonna be betting pretty polar, I would say. And yeah, he would. Yeah, it's something like with this sizing, with this 40% sizing, I think it's all right. I'm gonna check raise this guy. He has something like 9x with a flush draw, so 9 high flush draw, something like queen high flush draw. So yeah, I don't think he's bluffing with that sizing. And all right, so we don't have that many bluffs, I would say. He's never gonna fold a deuce, and he probably c-bets some king x. So I would say, all right, yeah, okay, ace deuce does make sense. He doesn't have that much ace. He doesn't have that much deuce in his range from MP. Okay, Haifa. And maybe I will also discuss some very, very basic stuff. For example, for beginning PLO players, I would say the ace-8, 6 deuce with only the nut suit is not really an option to defend from the small blind because it has only one component to make the nuts, and it's very, very weak. even if you make the nuts from the small blind, it's very hard to extract value. So you would need something like ace 8, 7, 6, or ace 10, 8, 9, or something to be able to justify a call. Yeah, from the small blind in this situation. All right, it's going to be a loose peel, a7, 7, 6, but since the button is pretty tight, so we can consider ourselves to be being the button, and open razor is pretty weak. He check folds, yeah, around. Yeah, it's pretty sick. He check folds 92% of the time when he checks out of position, so we can just exploit by literally min-betting the flop, but obviously when he c-bets the board, he's going to be super nutted, so yeah. On table number 2, we have showdown value. We didn't want to c-bet the flop since we block his continuing range, and we have 2 backdoor flush draws. We're just gonna fold out his air stuff. So yeah, now we can value bet. I think since we're gonna delay c-bet the turn with an ace or a queen most likely, then probably yeah, all right, I'm gonna do this. I would probably never be expecting a raise here. So, and most of his flush draws would bet the turn, I would say, because most of the flush draws he's gonna have, he's not gonna have showdown value. So he's forced to bet those. And of course, yeah, I'm gonna talk about the labels. And if someone has a question, just let me know in the chat, either in Hungarian or English or Danish, because I speak fluently Danish as well, because I did live some years in Denmark. And yeah, so actually the labels mean, they are pretty, one of the things I'm not really proud of is my labeling stuff. I use only 4 colors. The green is like small fish. The red is like a reg. I would say I don't really distinguish that much between a good reg or like a top reg or something. So because maybe some of you have heard about seeding scripts, and I use seeding script for stars and some other sites. And just to make it easier, I use the red color mark for quote-unquote regs. So when the script sees a player with the red tag, then it doesn't sit in. So yeah, the yellow means like a weak reg, I would say. So I don't distinguish between medium, good, or top regs. I only distinguish between weak regs and good regs. So I mean, you know, these 2 categories. And all right, Jack 10 4-6 double. It seems like an open, not all the time. All right. And then there's one more. All right, I have some showdown value on the river. I think a lot of his stuff, a lot of his flush draws would have bet the turn as well. And there's one more color left. It's I call them bálna in Hungarian. It means whale. It's the purple one. It's the guys who lose yeah, something like 40, 50 big blinds per 100. And my usually stakes are on stars. It's 10, 20 plus on regular tables, and I think you can achieve much higher win rates on the regular tables if you have a good script. Unfortunately, you have to either open sit, which is quite hard when Kobus and EE and company starts, you know, the lobby mafia, or yeah, how to say that. So you have to have a script to be able to get in the games, and I think you can easily get higher win rates than in a Zoom format. Right, on table number 1, we're just going to flat mediocre kings. If they were double suited, I would probably also call, since I don't want to 3-bet fold them and it plays pretty good multi-way. And on table number 2, he limped from the cutoff and I bet for kind of protection stuff. So, all right, on the deuce, we're flatting from NP, so we're not going to have that many full house combinations. So we're just going to bet against flush draws and overpairs. And on the river on table number 2, we are just going to check fold. I'm not sure. Probably his, and probably Briatore has some kind of 10 queens, jacks, because I block kings, and we had 10s. Oh no, we had kings, and yeah, he had queens. Yeah. And I'm not gonna have that much bluffs in this spot, flatting from the MP. All right, versus Gragic, he's an aggressive player. We can just fold this, even 200 bigs deep. And let me see. All right, he was limping ace king jack deuce from the cutoff, and his raise on the flop is good, but he should probably bet the turn as well. With the king high suits from middle position is quite good. All right, so he is 3-betting around 4 or 5% in this pot. We are probably just gonna go anyways, and the most likely he will pot the flop because most of his strategy. Okay, half pot. That's good. We are just gonna PL1, and he's gonna give up on a lot of turns. And on the turn, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and bet 1/4 or 1/3 of the pot, and I would do this with some straight draws, mixing in some 6x for protection, and some other stuff as well. Some 10-5 combinations which I can bluff on later streets. So I don't really expect him to have many check raises on the turn. So this sizing I can just balance my stuff. But versus stronger opponents, this doesn't always work. All right, so table number 2 versus tight under the gun. We're gonna look around and see if someone is squeeze happy. But I would say with the 3 suits, I'm just gonna go ahead and 3-bets. All right, let me know in the chat how you feel about the stream. And someone said that what was said? Sures. If you're the guy who I'm thinking of, then yeah, let me know. All right, ace deuce, ace queen, 5 deuce. Both blinds are 3-betting a ton. So if it was queen, if it was ace high suit, then I would easily open it. But with the queen high suit, since they 3-bet a lot, then I'm not really comfortable opening it. Yeah. Three, 4, 5. I'm not really gonna bother stepping into it. We have some showdown value, and it's not really good for our range and our hand. And if he's gonna, we're gonna check the rip. Oh, okay. All right, we are probably gonna value bet something like Jack 6 plus. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna value bet 5, 3, 4, 6. I'm not sure. But I don't really expect that much check raises on the river, to be honest. So yeah. We can probably, yeah, okay. I was about to say that on table number 1 we can just get away with the smaller c-bet, I would say. And yeah, we hate getting check raised. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna check some other stuff, how it goes. Yeah, and someone said that I should put music on. To be honest, I wasn't really sure how to how to do it properly, and I didn't want to break the rules by, because I have been watching some Jane Ender streams, and there were times where most of you probably know Jane Ender. He's I would say, pretty good Twitch streamer. And I have seen many occasions where he was playing some songs where, yeah, they were kind of, how to say, not restricted, some copyright stuff. So I wasn't really sure how to put maybe Spotify or some radio or some YouTube stuff, but maybe next time I'm gonna be doing something, yeah, something similar to maybe with the sounds. Where I saw the ace-9, 8-3, because of the 3, it's a toxic card. It's not really a good thing for us. And table number 2, 48, 40, so we have to bet 48.8. We are going to have to bet this amount to shove river. Yeah, and since he's not going to have many 4-7, 7-9 combinations, and we didn't have a flush draw blocker, so it was pretty good. All right, on this board, yeah, we have bottom set and we block their kind of wraps and gut shots, so I'm going to go over for the check beside, and the button is going to have a lot of kings in his calling range, so by this sometimes checking 8s in this pot, I would say we minimize sometimes the losses. And here in turn, I'm going to bet 1/3 of the pot, and I'm going to do it with ace-king plus something. I just want to rip it in his face, to be honest. I mean, he wasn't really betting the flop, so he doesn't really have 2-pair, and he probably is gonna he's not gonna value bet 9x on the river, so I'm just gonna, and he's not gonna bluff, so I think exploitably I will be putting the river for him not to check back 9x. And on table number 2, pretty standard double suited kings. The SPR is around 8, so we have tons of things to be bet folding with. And I'm gonna be betting around 70%. And we can just bluff if the turn is an ace or a queen or a 9. Yeah, and since he made a very big raise, I don't expect him to raise fold that much, that often. So, and we block his reps, raising reps. So it's quite an easy fold. Fold like a motherfucker, bitch. All right. So the big blind seems to be a fishy player, I would say, from Germany. So, and I don't have that. All right. He snap called. He seems like a passive player, I would say. There are some hands with the 7. There are some 7x plus, because he snap called the flop. I expect him to sometimes with these deep stacks, he would probably raise 7x plus a flush draw, or 7x with an open-ender sometimes. So, and I don't have a 6, I don't have an 8, I don't have a 3, I don't have a 4, so I don't really have how to say, blocker to his continuing range, and I didn't have a flush draw. But I want to make this sizing with some overpairs and some flush draws and some straight draws, and it's pretty hard for him to defend. All right, so small blind was raising from the small blind, Knut Ante from Germany, and he doesn't see by the board, which is good for him, and which means that by default, for me, it means that he's not really strong, because he can't really expect me to stab on this board, on a board which is good for him, or if he could expect me to stab with a high frequency, then he could obviously trap and check, but a lot of the strong hands, but I expect him to be check folding a lot or check calling with some weak hands. All right, so let's read the questions. If I'm coaching, I've been coaching a ton, but I stopped really coaching. But there are only 2 or 3 guys who I coach. I wouldn't say just for fun because they are friends of mine, and I'm not really that much of an interested in coaching because for me it's much more profitable to play and not share information. And if I share this kind of information, it's all right. We have showdown value, and we're gonna MDU Tutu. I'm calling him Tutu in Hungarian. It's much easier to pronounce than his whole name. He's an aggressive, good player. Sometimes over tricky, I would say. So yeah, that's it basically. Kérdés, mit mondják azt, hogy mikrométer nehéz profitot termel a rék miatt, magasabb téteken alacsonyabb a rék százalék, vagy mi miatt? Hát, hogy mikrotéten nehéz profit. Well, the question is, someone asked if it's, because a lot of people, micro stakes and small stakes player, they say that it's pretty hard to make profit because of the rake. And is it because of the high rake settings or... and on higher stakes the rake is much lower. Alright, we're gonna put the turn. I'm so good it's not gonna have that much 5-6 and the button is got a weak player. So I'm so good is probably c-betting a lot of his value on the flop because he can't really expect the button to stab, and when he calls the turn he is gonna have some Queen X with flush draw, some probably 7-8 as well, but some king, some not flush draw type hands. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I have been hearing some people who complain on the forums stuff that they cannot beat small or micro stakes and they are struggling how to move up. My advice would be to... that's a hard question because there could be many mistakes they could be playing, and they could feel that the only thing why they're not moving up is that is the rake. So yeah, I'm not sure what to advise. I'm gonna be thinking about this. So he 3-bet me 55 big blinds. He seems like an aggressive player. If we were double suited, I would probably 4-bet. And oh, okay. So he didn't c-bet the flop, which he would probably all his ace-x and all his flush draws. And we have some showdown value. I'm gonna be pretty tricky and just bet 1/3 to extract value from queens, or something like Queen 7 or something. And if he shoves, then I'm gonna snap call. Alright, table number 1. It's an easy call. Alright, turn is pretty fucking good. Actually, before the stream, I told myself that I'm not gonna swear too much. Because I like swearing, not in public or not, like some crazy, oh okay, I'm gonna be putting the fuck out of him, but yeah, okay, sorry for swearing some. Alright, when he check calls the turn, he has some King X with flush draws, some King 8, but I'm gonna be turning some hands into bluffs, especially Jack 8, I'm not sure about King 8 or King Jack, depends. But he is gonna have a lot of flush draws when he bet this, when he check calls the turn. Alright, on the turn we cannot continue. Yeah, in the T, hi NLZKM. Szia Bálintka. Yeah, so there are some known guys in the chat. Alright, so 130 big blinds deep. With the suited ace, I would say it's... yeah, we can just call this. with the suited ace, and it's kind of a polar hand. So he doesn't like to fold to 3-bet or c-bets that much, and I'm not really expecting him to check raise that often on this board this deep. So I would say I would go with the big c-bet and some pot controlling of the turn. Okay, when he check raises this amount, I'm expecting him to have some ace king plus not flush draw, or something like not flush draw combination, and he is probably pretty strong, or some kind of rep plus flush draw. But I think he would probably check call with a rep and a low flush draw. King jack, king queen, 10-5 double. I think it's pretty easy open from under the gun in this lineup. All right, in the mug there's only tea, so not vodka or something. I'm not an alcoholic. Yeah, all right. Some people might know that I have a lot of animals here at home. I have a dog, I have a cat, and I have a parrot who can talk. And yeah, the cat is sleeping, the dog is here next to me, and my parrot who calls, right? And my parrot who is how to say, making a lot of noise. I have put him or her, because I'm not sure what the gender is, if he's a male or is she a she or a female. I have put her on a sleep mode, so because I didn't want him or her to disturb the stream. Yeah. But later on in the stream, I'm gonna show my dog for sure, I think. All right, let me know if you need, or if you have questions or anything else. Actually, I have posted this on 2+2 as well, in the high stakes and small stakes forum, and I'm not sure how many foreign people would join the chat, because all right, we are pretty deep, and I think it's best to check raise with this combination, because we can continue a lot of turns, and we can just and we can't really check call because we cannot continue on many turns, but by check raising we can wrap a lot of things. So I think, yeah, he's gonna have a lot of 9-10 as well, but we are blocking 4-5 and 5-9, which is good. And if he's gonna raise the turn, then I'm obviously gonna snap fold. And yeah, I wanted to target his 8x plus flush draws, or I wouldn't say make indifferent, because I'm not sure what hands or what hand I would probably want to make indifferent, but it's something along that line. So, all right. And someone asked me what sites I'm playing besides PokerStars. Yeah, I've been playing on PokerStars for the last, I would say, 6 years, and high stakes around, yeah, between 4 or 5 years. Now I think you can consider high stakes like 10, 20 plus, but in the old days high stakes was like 5,100 plus or something, but stakes are getting lowered and lowered, I think. All right, so maybe I shouldn't have c-bet at the flop. I'm not really trying to be results oriented, but he doesn't really check raise that much, if I remember correctly. But yeah, and when we check the flop goes check, we can continue a lot of turns. So it was pretty stupid, and especially his short stack. So yeah, maybe that was a pretty. Szia, Lackó! Igen, neked is köszönök, igen, persze lesz a... Jaj, Kacor, szia, te is itt vagy, okay. So there are some friends of mine who are here. Yeah. So, yeah, much love, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. I think we have the potats here. Yeah, potats should be something like, yeah, 6% here, so we definitely have the potats, I would say. All right, with the suited ace, he opens 80%, and we're just gonna check fold. And yeah, okay, so currently I'm playing on 12 sites. I'm not gonna name all of them, but I'm gonna name the ones I can, or I want. I'm playing Party, 888, Microgaming, ACR, and then not iPoker anymore, and I was playing Tiger Gaming. But iPoker and Tiger Gaming, they had only 510, which I'm not really interested anymore. And I was playing the GG network as well. But yeah, I'm gonna write some more about that, but people have to be very cautious about the GG network because yeah, they like to fuck around with players, and just to put it that way, and to seize money without any reason. Mennyire jóképű ez az öreg Dán, fogadjunk, volt valami barbershopban, ilyen olasz szakállam, el is láttam. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have to admit I did some Italian barber stuff. Yeah, so, and I can see my friend Argentine God, he's in the Zoom pool as well. All right, so he's checking like a bitch on a limp pot, where he should bet a lot. So he should be check folding a lot. Yes, yes. There you go. All right, on table number, okay, just to be serious, on table number 2, it doesn't really hit our range. So I think we should be c-betting this board with like 0%. But on the turn, we should be delaying and extract 2 streets of value. A lot of his hands would probably bet the turn. So my strategy would be to bet turn and pot where I don't make a straight or it's not paired. Milyen hosszú lesz a Twitch? The Twitch stream is gonna be, so Rook asked how long is gonna be the Twitch stream. The Twitch stream is gonna be between 1.5 and 3 hours. And yeah, it's gonna depend how I feel about it. All right, so on table number 1, we're not gonna c-bet the flop when we have to consider how much equity we have versus his continuing range and how he builds, how he constructs his continuing range. And he doesn't really like to fold to c-bets. I'm not saying he's over-defending, but sometimes, yeah, he's much more likely to check raise this flop than to check call, I would say. So he's attacking a lot with his weaker hands, and probably I'm leaning towards raising the turn, since there are not many good river cards for us, and he's gonna bet here some open-enders, some 2 pairs, so it's pretty merged, I would say. And we're not gonna it's pretty funny because there are I would say 10% of the time where we have some showdown value, because with the naked reps we beat, but most likely he has something like 10-9 or something. But since we haven't c-bet the flop, he can exclude the 2 pairs or the sets from our range, and he can turn a lot of stuff into bluff. So we're not gonna bother yeah, bluffing here, and especially versus him. All right, so he half-pot the flop, and we're gonna go for the Oh, actually, on this computer it's not. Huh. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna, since he snap called a turn, I think I'm going to target his Jack plus flush draw. I don't think he has many Jack 4 or Queen 4. He has some, yeah, okay. And I made him to, okay. Let me review this hand, because I think it was quite interesting. Right, so on the flop when he c-bets half pot and we are pretty deep, I expect him, this is kind of pair the board. Okay. I expect him to have a weak range, I would say. Some jack plus open-ender or some naked wraps or something like naked flush draw or something. And when he check calls the turn, all right, we're just gonna fold here. So when he check calls the turn, then he was actually snap calling the turn. So when he has a full house, he is most likely to even think a little bit what he's gonna do with it. So he doesn't have a hand which is qualified for fold because he's not check calling them. So something like a naked open-ender or something. And he doesn't have a hand which is strong, like a full house. So he has some kind of mediocre hand. My read is would be that. And we're just going to get it in. And fold, or not fold, lose. Lose. Okay, so yeah. And on the river, we're going to value bet. And since his flop c-bet was pretty weak, then I can value bet Jack 4 as well, or I'm gonna have some random 5-4s runners as well. All right, so the button is opening only 30% and we are deep, so I'm not gonna be bothering 3-betting. All right, so this guy, okay, is just gonna check call. And we're not gonna be turning this hand into a bluff because we have some showdown value. We don't have a flush draw blocker, and we beat a lot of stuff. On this blank turn on table number 1, I don't really expect him to stab or delayed c-bet because we have 3 flush blockers, so it's much more likely that he has some kind of naked overpair or some 10x or something. And yeah, the river is a queen. I would say that he doesn't really c-bet that much, but I would probably most likely to expect him to c-bet his straight draws on the flop, and I can extract value because by checking he's not gonna bluff too much, I think, because he didn't c-bet the flop, as most of his straight draws are c-betting the flop. So, and he's gonna check back some hands like Queen 10 or Queen Deuce or stuff like that, or like naked kings. So, and then I have plenty of bluffs here. All right, let's see the questions. All right, GTO, have you played Isildur? Yes, I have. Not much actually. I have played some. I think 25-50 or 50-100, 6 max obviously. Yeah, that's it. I'm not gonna say how he's playing. Right, we turn a full fucking house on the turn, and we're just gonna keep. All right, he checked back. He could have some slow plays, I would say, but by default, I would expect him to bet his full houses on the turn. So even like Queen Queen. So I'm gonna be betting pretty big, and if he raises, then I'm gonna fold, because I'm not really expecting him to, because him for having me beat, so he has to have king queen, he has to check back the turn, which is not very likely. Yeah, he had the nut flush. All right. GTO Dream Machine add background. What background? There's no GTO Dream Machine here. Én is itt vagyok ám. I'm Baziga. Who are you? I'm Baziga. Pinati Pro. Szia, Naggeri. Mit gondolsz? Alright. Mit gondolsz Kumikonról, és főleg arról, hogy nem fejlesztette offline magát, csak játék közben? Alright, so the question is that what I'm thinking of Kumikon and how I think about him not improving his offline game, or not improving his game. So yeah, so maybe some of you don't know, but I think it was in the news and on 2+2 on some forums that Kumikon, he has been a long time heads-up PLO player, and he has won 7.5 or $8 million on many sites, and he claimed that he hasn't been working on his game, and I find it true. So he has been improving by playing and not by analyzing players and stuff. And I find it true because I think even in today's games you can improve and exploit people by only if you are talented, I think, and Kumikon has to be pretty smart, I would say, for this to do. So I would say he is not really. Alright, we're gonna call the turn and bluff some spades and an 8, most likely if he checks. But alright, this is not a good river, so I think I'm gonna fold. He raised from the small. He raises around 30%. Yeah, and he can value bet Jack 9, King Jack. Yeah. And yeah, I think what he says, in today's games you can exploit people, and just imagine how you could exploit people back in the days, so some years ago. Yeah. All right. Teddy12 asks that, will you do more stream, or is this kind of Christmas present for the poker community? Yeah. So yeah, I've mentioned that it's gonna be like a one and done thing for me, because all right, so the reason I chose to stream my game on lower limit is because I wanted to give something back to the poker community, or something, the site, because the site I'm streaming for, it's called PLO100-500. It's a Hungarian poker site / affiliate site where I did run a blog and a known topic for the last, I would say, 8 years. All right, this is interesting. I would say probably I'm gonna be betting this turn flop because he doesn't check raise that much, and we can continue on many turns, and when we check back we doesn't really have many turn cards, plus he can't really check raise fold with this stack size, so when he check raises he's most likely to check raise and go with it. And on the turn, since he didn't check raise, I expect him to have a lot of the 6x naked flush draws, some pair plus gutters, and not many jack x. And when he is calling the turn, I would say that he's gonna have some 8s, some 9s, I'm not sure about kings, because most of the kings he's gonna uh, 3-bet. So, but I think we do have some showdown value, and we beat his 6x. We don't beat, obviously, Jack, which is he's not gonna have that many 8s, 9s. Yeah, we beat the 6x. Yeah, it's pretty good. Good read. All right, so yeah, so yeah, and I wanted to give something back to the Hungarian poker community, and to the international as well. It's not that I have received many stuff from the international community, but yeah, it's sometimes it's a good feeling to share some things, but in today's game you have to be pretty cautious about what you share, and I have been improving my career by myself, so I wasn't really part of any group or any uh, so I have had some coaches, but alone, so not in group and not some study group. Obviously, I was joining some study groups, but those kind of Skype study groups in the beginning when I was playing some PLO, I don't know, 100, 200, they were not really working out that well. So yeah, those study groups, they were like, yeah, okay, let's fucking do it. We have to be, yeah, 10 people in the group, and just we make some, 2 times a week analysis, blah, blah, blah. But obviously these things don't really work out. All right, so he is not going to delete c-bet this turn very often, so we're just gonna pot the fuck out of him, and we are going to bet the river as well, and he's gonna have some kings, some aces with a flush draw, some ace-4, and he had some, I think, kings. Yeah, kings with a flush draw. Oh boy, that's brutal. I mean, if you do consider, all right, so he 3-bets from the small. He 3-bets around, I would say, in this spot, something like 15%. And he pots the flop. All right, so he pots the flop, which I don't think he's doing it with aces. I don't think he's doing it with a flush. So I don't think he's doing it with 2 pairs. So I think it doesn't make sense for him to do this with a set or a flush, which is he probably wants to put it in the small betting area. So I would say he's probably in this merge, something like ace king queen. So maybe I'm fucking wrong and I have 10% equity, but let's see. So I think he has something like ace king jack, or something like jack 8, or something like queen jack 9. Or I'm not. He has something, an ace with a, ace 7. Okay. Oh, okay. The stream run good. Yeah, okay. It was pretty. Yeah. I'm not sure why he potted the flop. He doesn't really accomplish much. It's a sign that he's actually scared to play future streets. So one of my biggest mistakes was in the past that I was trying to check raise a lot, and to end the hands on earlier streets, because I was afraid to play on later streets, and a lot of the times you have to either delay the aggression or play fewer streets, especially out of position. So it's much more complicated than just, all right, I'm gonna check raise the flop to end the hand because I have full equity. So this 1.0 thinking, it's not. I think it's not enough. Oh, okay. I'm Baziga. It's Bernie, who started playing PLO as well, and I'm happy that he plays. I think Kumikon playing 10 hours of poker, 365 days a year for 5 years qualifies studying poker too. Especially if he played few tables and thought about the hands really deep. Yeah. Kumikon a PLO fehérbőrnél. Hát igen. Yeah, well, I mean, he had other skills than, you know, uh, he had other skills than just, you know, analyzing and improving of the tables. Because I think I had some friends who are now either not playing poker or, you know, stuck at very small stakes. And I have tried to tell them how to improve, and a lot of them think, I'm not going to name obviously names because they don't matter, that they think there's player A and player B. And all right, let's see the camera. Because, okay. So there's player A and player B. If they have the same skills, I mean, in terms of raw skill set, you know, how they approach spots and how, you know, how good they are, their knowledge. And if player A analyzes more or studies more of the tables, then he's going to have better results than player B. They think that. So they think pretty linearly, and I don't think that's the case. Because there are some hidden skills which you cannot measure, so it's not only that how much they study, because you can study a lot, and if you can't implement in your game, then you're fucked. So, oh boy. Okay, so this guy raises around 90% when I limp. So I'm going to be punishing him even out of position pretty deep. And we can't really check call the turn, but it's pretty risky to bet the turn without a blocker. But sometimes he would call with Queen X plus an open-ender, or something like Queen 10. All right, fucked. All right, I'm gonna it's pretty interesting. Yeah, okay. On table 1, I think I'm gonna fold. He raised middle position and he 3-barreled. I'm not seeing many bluffs in his hands, and he could, in his range, and he could bet the turn with not only the nuts, Queen Jack, but also Ace Ace, Ace King King, some King King Queen. All right, SPR is 2 on the flop. We're just gonna go ahead and bet 25%, which is not programmed somehow on my hotkey, in my thingy, which I don't like. I'm not sure why. Let me check it. Because I have a new mouse now, and somehow I forgot to calculate or to program all my sizings on the mouse, which is quite strange. Let me check. So strange. It should be good. All right, on table number 2, he is a loose, fun player, I would say, and he doesn't really c-bet that much, or his range is kind of how to say, I'm not sure if I can his range is much more, his range is pretty defined, I would say. Plus, he doesn't see bet that much, so we can realize much more equity with our weaker draws. He's gonna check back a lot on the flop. So I think that I'm gonna be check deciding this turn. Most like if he's potting, I'm gonna check fold. If he's gonna bet half pot or something, I'm just gonna go ahead and check shove. Boy, this is a sizing. I think it's pretty nutted, I would say. He could have something like, yeah, ace, ace, ace 10 with some spades. I think we have the equity, but I'm not sure if we have fold equity. I think, no, it's a good spot to check shove, actually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure, yeah, okay. Maybe versus half pot, we have fold equity and okay, yeah, okay, he was a fishy player, okay. Yeah, he had some nutted stuff there. Yeah. Yeah, okay. That was a mistake from my part. All right, there's a question. How can you say something about how to exploit the micros and low stakes? What is a max win rate in a low rake or weak field? I would say you can exploit first. People are not really defending versus c-bets properly. So a lot of the times if you make 1/3 pot c-bet on the flop, then they're gonna overfold, for example. So they're definitely overfolding the static boards. And oh boy, I think that on the turn, so the small blind on the turn doesn't have two pair, and he is much more likely to shove with his how to say straights. So I'm much more, so I don't know what he could, something like king 7. Oh no, he's shoving his two pairs, something like, I don't know, weak two pair. Yeah. And we blocked 8-9, so it was kind of exploitive 3-barrel. Alright, we're gonna check call the flop. And this is not the turn we were looking for. So I would say, yeah, you can exploit people by, they are kind of decapitating a lot. So, for example, in 3-bet pots, if they raise the flop on a paired, all right, we're gonna pot the fuck out of him for sure. We're gonna have the ace-8, the 10-10. Since he potted the flop, we're not gonna check raise that often. And if we have something like, yeah. If we have something like 8-10, we could turn it into bluff, and then we create maximum fold equity. All right, so he bets 1/4 of the pot. All right, I'm gonna answer the questions, obviously. Oh fuck, we turned quads, fucking quads. All right, I'm never gonna raise the turn, I would say. Here I'm gonna have something like 7s plus. Occasionally some ace queen, something like ace high stuff, because he's gonna barrel the turn with air. And I'm not sure if he checks the river with. All right, we're gonna. All right, the most likely hands the MP is gonna have is probably kings or air, and since he's folding around 90% when he checks back the turn, it's fucking crazy. Then oh, okay, wow, okay. Then I wouldn't really expect him to have a jack there. But he did somehow, which is unfortunate. So yeah, you can exploit people by that, and also their pre-flop tendencies. For example, if if they only call, let's say the cutoff opens and they only call, they have something like 40 or 50 big blinds from the button, and when they call, you can exclude some sort of, you know, free betting range. The top, I would say 6, 7, 8% of free betting range in that spot. So their calling range is going to be pretty defined. So on table number 1, I'm not going to c-bet because I'm going to narrow his range a lot. And by checking back, we can call a lot of turns. So when he will check the turn, but he will most likely bet out, lead out on the turn. Yeah, this board is going to be better for me overall, but it doesn't mean that I can c-bet it 100%. And we're not gonna block the river. We don't block any of the nuts, and it's not very likely. We have the king jack combinations. It has to be pretty, how to say, specific, especially with you would have hearts most of the time, because what king jack combinations we could have which don't c-bet the flop and calls the turn. It's probably ace king jack, but that c-bets a lot with the nut gut shot. King queen jack, we're not gonna have that much under the gun. So yeah, so not much we can rep there. And what is the max win rate in a low rake or weak field? I'm not sure, but I can say that 6 max. I think you can win with something like 15 or even 20 big blinds per 100. I'm really positive about that. All right, so versus Bong Bob, we flopped a top set, and this is a board where he is gonna call a lot. The SPR is 4, so we are aiming to shove a lot of turns. And the SPR is going to be 2 on the turn. It's going to be 29, 50, and yeah. All right. So versus 1/3 of the pot, c-bet. I'm going to just check call, and he doesn't barrel that much on the turn. And we have a backdoor flush draw, which we don't hit, and we have some showdown value. I think we block queens. We don't win against jacks, kings, but I think he's gonna have a lot of air in this spot. Yeah. Okay, so his strategy seemed kind of weak. How do you find today's Omaha mid-high stakes field compared to 2 years ago? Do we late to switch? Jesus Christ. I know why you're asking that. Yeah, I'm like a lot of my friends ask me if what I recommend, like when I recommend switching to PLO, and I always tell them it's never too late. But I find it now with the solvers, I think right, the SPR is 4, we don't have anything, and versus a calling station, so we are probably gonna just check fold. And since he's pretty passive, so I don't expect him to stab. And on the turn, SPR is 4.1 or something, so we are gonna just bet big. If the SPR was 4 or below, I would probably just pot the turn and extract maximum, or extract max value and gain max fold equity. But since we cannot shove the river, we can get away betting a little bit smaller, I think. So I think that the PLO field has improved a lot, but still leaking many mistakes. I'm leaking many mistakes myself, obviously, but I'm trying to be better and better. And I think things are working out pretty good for me. And obviously, it's not really a brag or something, but you know, but I think people still have many mistakes. All right, so I think we're gonna just lead the turn here, we have much more Jack-9 than him. He is gonna check back the turn a lot with some Queen 10, some kings, some aces, some king, some ace, king, Jack, I don't know, something like that. And we cannot really check call the turn, I would say. Alright, okay. And he is. And the board is rainbow, so it's pretty hard for us to bluff in this spot, I would say. I'm not really sure that I would always want to lead out the nuts there, since then he can just double barrel the fuck out of us. A 4-5-10-9 handhez, ha kb nincs fold equity, nem jobb turn callozni. Yeah, yeah, I regret that I shoved, but I felt a little bit fold equity. But since he is a calling station, or yeah, he seemed a fishy player, then it's much more better to just check call the turn and to donk shove. I wouldn't have donk shoved the spades because he's gonna have the spade draw much more often than me. Oh, fuck! I don't have the 25% here on this mouse. It's pretty annoying because I'm using something like 8 or 10 sizings, and it's alright. So MDU is defending pretty wide here. We never gonna bet fold queens here. And depending on the sizing, we're just gonna call. Probably he's gonna check. Okay, so right now we have to consider, what his check raise range? Is he gonna, what range he's gonna check the turn with? We are most likely ahead of his check folding range, and I think, alright, he potted the turn, which is pretty weird. So probably he is checking a lot of stuff, but at the same time, since we are deep, I would probably expect him to continue a lot of his ace-x. And if I don't have ace-x, what things I can call with, I think it's a good candidate to call with. Yeah. And since he's an aggro player, okay. He had the second nuts, so no problem at all. All right, let's read some more questions. Latsko asks, what do you think about Truthteller? Did he become really good at PLO2? I'm not sure about Truthteller because I haven't played that much with him. So I can't. Sometimes I go to high stakes DB and search for some hands, which I'm interested at. Right. So versus this guy, and we have 2 more players behind us. So even when we hit the I would say 4 or jack. I mean 4 when he checks, we can value bet if it's not a flush. So, and there are 2 more players, so it's not really an option to call. On the turn we have, we can call 100%, and we beat now his 2 pairs. I mean, we have showdown value, but we don't have a value bet, so it's check. So I'm not sure about Truthteller. Yeah, he seems to be playing everyone at PLO, and he probably has infinite money, so why not? But I saw some strange things from him, but obviously he could be right. I'm not sure. Yeah. All right. So, can you share Impulse100 asks, can you share some general adjustments how to combat short stackers? Double them up. Advice not allowed. How to combat double them up. I've never thought about that. What do you mean double them up? Combat short stackers. I mean. Yeah, okay, so you have to think how short stackers do play and what their general strategy is. Obviously, their general strategy is to 3-bet a lot, push those thin equity edges, and a lot of people cannot fold to 3-bets, and they can exploit that. For example, let's say the big blind short stack has 40 big blinds, and the button opens. Who opens something like 45-50%, whatever, and he opens something like King Jack, 6-4 single suited or something. So it's like I would say pretty trashy hand or mediocre hand. And the big blind go ahead and 3-bets. He probably 3-bets here around 12-15% with the, And if the button is gonna, alright, so this guy check folding a lot. I would say I would go ahead and go for 1/3, but I'm also can be convinced of checking back since we have some showdown value. Right, open raise check check. Yeah, and if the button starts calling these type of crappy hands, then big blind can shove the fuck out of the button. So so it's people are doing this short stack stuff, and it's much easier to play out of position when the SPR is 4 or lower than if the SPR is is high. So I have seen some short stackers who are really good at short stacking. They understand the dynamic, the SPRs, the board ranges, when to check, when to over the ranges overall. And I have seen some players who were playing 100 bigs deep, but they were transitioning only to short stacking because it was a much more easier option for them. So it was kind of a how to say a safer route to like a lower variance game, because they were probably not winning 100 bigs deep, so they started playing short stacks because it's much more easier, I would say, in their eyes. And I would say it's much simpler game, because the game tree and the decision tree is much more easier, I would say. All right, I'm gonna bring some tea because I'm thirsty, and I'm gonna be back right away. All right. Okay. Mediocre kings versus unknown. Okay, let's call this. And we're just gonna check fold the flop. On table number 2, since he didn't bet the flop, most of his 2-pair sets bet the flop, sorry. But here we don't have showdown value, since he's gonna have many overpairs, and we have to bluff this river, because I expect him to sometimes delay c-bet the turn with air, even if he doesn't c-bet the flop with air, which he shouldn't that often. And but when he checks back the turn, he has a lot of showdown value, I would say, and he either has an overpair, or some kind of flush draw combination, but he's not gonna bet that much on the river unless he's super nutted, something like queen high flush or king high flush, king high. He should probably in theory bet a lot more, but people are probably shying away from betting too thinly for value. And I think this is also one thing which kind of separates high stakes players. I'm leaning towards peeling here versus 1/3. And we're just gonna give up on the turn. Okay, all right, let's read some more questions. So yeah, back to the question for Impulse. How to combat short stackers. I would say probably raise fold more, especially even in position. So if you open from the cutoff and some short stack guy 3-bets you from the big blind, fold something like I would say ace queen ace queen 7-8 with something like queen high flush draw or queen high flush draw something, but I'm not sure if it's it's not an open in the first place. All right, so we're gonna call here, and since he potted the flop, which is fucking bad, it's gonna be a good fold. So I would say probably raise fold more, and or try opening tighter. It's pretty good because we block Jack 9, 6-9. Yeah, okay. But he could, and since he's an aggro Russian guy, he could check raise some. Besides 5-6, he could check raise some 2-pair plus flush draws, some combo draws. So something like top set with flush draw. Yeah. So. All right, this is a dicey spot. I think it's good for our range, but not for good our hand, and we don't have king, jack, queen, and a flush draw, so it's much more likely that he has. And we should include this into our bet folding range, obviously. All right, yeah, you can ask more questions in the chat, and I'm happy to reply all of them. The stream has been running 1.5 hours, and I think so far it's going good. On table number 2, I obviously didn't bet the flop, so we don't really gain much by betting the flop. So, but on the turn, we have a double gutter. I think we can call, but I am probably not going to. Versus Bonk Bob, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to bluff the river because I don't have diamond and I have a king blocker. Maybe it's, and he's folding a lot on rivers, and I can rep pretty much 8-10 and king 10. So I think it's a good bluff. And it was good we didn't have diamonds. Good idea to check raise, lose the dry boards out of position in big blind, in blind versus blind spot. Yeah, I think definitely. I think people making the mistakes, even nowadays, that they are c-betting the dry over pairs a lot. So, for example, a 9-7 deuce, they would probably c-bet kings. I'm not saying all the time, and obviously this doesn't mean that very good players do this, but I would say the general field does this because I think their general thinking is that it's much easier to play kings when you c-bet because you can create fold equity and stuff like that. But the things they don't consider is that how well it's gonna play on turns and rivers and what runouts they can value bet or bluff, and it's pretty important that you consider these things. But the more sophisticated players like myself, it's I'm gonna adjust the camera. So the more sophisticated players are gonna plan, you know, how to construct their ranges, and plus when they check back the flop, what action they could be expecting. So yeah, I'm not going to that much into details, but I'm probably right that people are over c-betting these. Right, I'm gonna bet here. I think that I can bet something like queen high flush here. So, and I don't have showdown value, and it's pretty good. And bong bob, yeah, okay, fold like a fucking bitch. All right, this guy is pretty weak, and so far he hasn't 3-bet me. So I think his range is probably aces most of the time. And since we're double suited, I'm just gonna check call the flop. Now it's I'm not gonna check raise now, and I don't think he check raises, or I don't think he 3-bets a lot of kings, I would say. Or it feels like super double suited, something like king, I don't know, queen jack or king 10-9 double suited. But if he's gonna pot the turn, I'm gonna fold. SPR is 1.5. We need 35.5, so 37.5% equity without full equity. If he bets half pot, then it's much closer. But the king and 8, it's not likely an out for us. Yeah, okay. I think I lean towards peeling one more, and we have to play the board, unfortunately. But I think we have the pot odds now. Okay, this is not a good river, and we're gonna check fold like a small bitch, or like a crying bitch. Yeah. So by check folding, he cannot really exploit us, because we made the correct decision on the turn. So, all right, this is quite interesting. On 7-3 deuce with a flush draw, his range is much stronger, and he c-bets a lot. So I expect him to fold a lot here, because he c-bets all his overpairs, all his pairs, all his flush draws, all his straight draws. So not really much remaining in his in his range, and he c-bets a lot of air, because that doesn't really hit my range. So, oh, and I got a walk with double suited aces. All right, let's Jack 10, 6-4 double. I would say button is weak player. Other guys are. I'm gonna mark this guy a reg, and I'm not gonna bluff here. Right. Pretty needy. Yep. I'm gonna start betting king jack 5, king 9-5 board is better for us. All right, we can. Yeah, he's pretty aggro, I would say, but we can PL1 for sure. King is bad card for us. If he's smart, then he is 1/3, betting 1/3 of the pot. But since we want to take out his check call range, so I think by betting 1/3 with our range, I think it's pretty good for us with our range. We can fold out some equity of his. I'm not sure if he, yeah, okay. Yeah, and so okay. This indicates that he doesn't always follow through on cards which are good for him. The 7 is a pretty bad card for our range. I would say he has much more straight draws than we have, because the board has flush draws, so we are much more likely to check back some weaker straight draws, I would say. But he is going to bet here with a high frequency, I would say. Yeah, this is a small bet, so yeah, he's never going to get money from me. All right, open raise call, so SPR is huge. We are going to bet fold, I would say. We don't have the equity 25, 40, 100. So we need something like over 40%, 42% to stack off, and we don't have that, I think, versus his stack off range. If the SPR was like 4 or 5 is iffy, I would probably lean towards stacking off with the nut gut shot, but the SPR is ultra deep, so I'm not sure. On table number 1, we're gonna check call, and now we have showdown value. He couldn't on the flop. He couldn't check back nut flush draw, which he should a lot of the times because he has a lot of equity versus my check folding range. And yeah, and now on the river we can value bet, and the hand, the thing, a lot of his ace-x would bet the flop, I think. So the thing we're gonna target is something like queens. So we should bet a sizing where he calls with queens, and I think there's a high chance that he has queens here or a flush, which is also good. I think he should probably bet the turn, because then he can extract value. Oh boy. I'm not sure what. Alright, this is gonna be interesting. I'm not sure what I can get value from, but I don't think he has a flush here in this spot. If he raises, then I can just. Alright, we have super nut in hand. Oh boy. He's gonna check a lot on this board, I would say, and he's gonna have this two street game, and we have the nut gut shot. All right. Oh boy, oh boy. I mean, what are we really wrapping? I mean, if we shove, we wrap kings, fours. I think he has. I think he didn't raise pot, but I think most of his flush draws on the turn will bet the turn. It's really so I don't think he is value raising something like a 10 high flush. I would be surprised, but at the same time, what bluffs he could have? I mean, I'm not sure. All right, he had a full house, which is pretty bad for him, because on a two flush draw board, it's pretty bad for him to check back a full house. Where in this spot he would wanna bet with a high frequency, because he wanna include a lot of bluffs. So if he's checking back this, then his betting range is gonna be pretty weak. Yeah, I have marked Bombog as a weak reg. All right, how long are you plan on streaming tonight? I think I will be streaming something like one hour more, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's check the lobby. Yeah. As I said, I don't want to stream my regular games, because there's too much info to provide, I think, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna be streaming these stakes. All right, so this board hits our range much more than his, and he has been playing 43-7. Small sample, but the high gap indicates that his raising range is probably something like Broadway heavy. So he's gonna check back a lot on this flop. Plus it hits our range much more than his. So I think we should be denying him that he can check back and realize equity with his flush draws, with his overpairs, with his straight draws. So nem egy nehéz játék ez az Omaha. Hát sometimes, yeah. But you know, the more I think in no limit hold'em, because in my career when I started playing cash games. I never played anything else than cash games. You know, maybe some MTTs in the beginning, but nothing, you know, professionally. And I found it that No Limit Hold'em was kind of boring. And in PLO, you know, there are much more combinations and much more fun, I would say. But after some years, the more and more you develop, because I started my career at PLO 10, you know. All right, so Vidinha, he's probably Brazilian, let me guess. Brazil, yes. Unknown, I'll probably go ahead and fold. So the more and more, the higher and higher you go up in the stakes, and the more and more you realize and you learn, and the things become much more, you know, interesting, and you see spots and you view spots, you analyze spots, and you see some mistakes of your opponents from another angle. You realize much more. You realize mistakes much more quicker, I would say. Your own mistakes as well. For example, you open on the button. You see a spot. Boom, boom. You know, what bet size, what frequency use. All right, we're going to fold here. I'm not, actually, it's quite an interesting spot. Because I expect that both the small blind and, or yeah, small blind has only 12 big blinds, but he's pretty nitty. So the big blinds cannot really include some hands that something like, if he's smart, then he'd probably call for bets here with something like 6, 5, 8, 7 double, which has 40 something percent versus the small blinds range. But I think most of his range is gonna be aces, so I'm gonna be gambling here, and the side pot is side pot is 52 big blinds. If he's gonna shove here, I'm gonna fold because this board is much better for us. We're gonna fold. Yeah, so I think I'm not sure if he's gonna include those small rundowns to push. So to push me out of the pot, and we're gonna take the safe route and check back the flop, sorry. And now he should be betting, he should start betting 1/3 a lot. But I'm gonna check back some flush draws as well. But I am going to, alright, okay, now I'm going to start, and I'm going to check here the flop. And we turn quads. So I'm going to deny equity. Oh, I bet too big, unfortunately. I bet too big. Yeah, okay. Because the bet size was referring to the whole pot and not only the side pot. So I should have betted something like, yeah, something like, let's see. Something like 15 big blinds or something. Yeah. Actually. All right, let me know if you have questions. All right, now I'm gonna Dugó, gyere ide! Gyere ide! Gyere ide! Gyere. Köszönj a kamerának! Szia! Ott van a kamera, látod? Látod? Jó van, kutya? Jó van, kutya? Ide fekszünk. Fekszünk. Fekszünk oda. Feküdjünk. Yeah, she is my dog. Her name is Dugó. It's you can pronounce it 2 ways. Dugó means in Hungarian like fucker, and we river the nuts. All right, so he's not gonna have many 8-9 combination from under the gun. He's most likely to c-bet them. So my dog's name is Dugó, which is fucker, and the Dugó is I'm I'm not sure about the English name of, you know, where you have the bottles and you open the thing which is on top of the bottle, and that's Dugo in Hungarian. And let's hope he has aces with some kind of straight draw. That's a pretty good river for us. I think we are going to... Actually, it's going to be pretty interesting. I think I would, because the aces he's going to have, with the straight draw, he is going to bet call the flop. So he's most likely holding, which is aces, is probably naked aces. But if we check the river, he checks back. But if he bets, then we give him the opportunity to bluff shove the river. I could be wrong, and he could turn up something like ace jack 6-5 double suited, but I'm not sure. But that's okay. Thank you. That was quite funny. Alright, Dugo, mit csinálsz? Dugo, mi van Dugo? Gyere ide. Jó van Dugo. Jó van. Kicsit nem leszel itt? Alright, we're gonna follow the river. That was pretty interesting. But you know, people do some spazzy stuff. Jó van Dugo. Ace is king 9. If we had the ace high suit, obviously on table number 1, we would call. But with the king high suit, the big blind is likely to defend. His big blind, I'm not sure, and the small blind can squeeze. So it's I don't think we can call. If it was the cutoff, I would probably lean towards calling. Yeah. All right, my dog went away. Mi van, Dugo? And actually my parrot is sleeping now, so he or she cannot really bother us. Alright, this is a good spot to check back with the pair plus naked rep, because if we consider what hands, if we bet, what hands he could be continuing with, and since we blocked a lot of like the reps, and we don't have a diamond blocker, and we turn the nuts, which is pretty important, then his continuing range is going to be ace x and something like pair plus flush draws and a lot of the pairs between 6 and ace, for example 10s with a flush draw, and so when he checks the river, yeah, I'm gonna be potting because the main draws are missed. So I'm gonna have. All right, I'm gonna be potting here for sure, and I think his most likely hand is something like Jack X. I think a lot of the kings would have bet the turn. Would have bet, yeah, because with kings he would want to get value from Jack X. But yeah, okay, Bong Bob. Let's do it, Bong Bob. So what hands he had? Alright, he had 3 pair with a flush draw. So on the flop we had something like, I think something like 30% equity, my estimate. Yeah, 28.5. And yeah, so it's pretty, Jesus, okay. So he's raising, his flop raise on the flop is 3%, so I'm very, very positive he has queens here or some kind of very, very specific combo draw. I think that if he bets something like, I'm not sure if he can continue. Versus the pot size, it's an easy, very easy fold. I think versus 1/3, yeah, okay. I think Bong Bob is really, really bad. He's really, really, really bad. It's really, really bad. And we can continue on table number 1. We block ace 3, and I think this is a spot where he should, or not he should, but he will be betting with a high frequency lot of his air, because our button opening continuing range doesn't hit this board, and we have the backdoor nut flush draw and the overcard. So versus 1/3, we definitely want to continue with some overcards. Alright, someone asked in the chat, Szia Dan, megkérdeztem, hogy milyen széked van, leírnád a pontos típusát? Meaning that he would like to know what type of chair I have, and if I can write down the type of the chair. Actually, I'm not sure what about the chair, because it's a custom made for me, because I am alright, and now we beat his draws. We block kings, queens. He could have some nut flush draw combinations, but I think we have some showdown value. Okay, fuck you. So yeah, it's a custom-made chair for me, but I will try to investigate it. All right, it says caucus. All right, I'm gonna bring my cat here. Oh, full house. Caucus. Gyere, caucus. 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 Gyere. Macska. Caucus. Gyere. Gyere. Caucus. Alright, so the thing is that my cat doesn't really want to alright, so okay, this is an interesting spot. He opened from the MP, delayed c-bet the turn 3 ways, half pot, and bet big on the river. I'm not sure about that, but since the big blind is a fish, I expect him to show up a lot of aces in this spot, but since I called pretty slow on the turn, he could expect me to have something like tens, so this means that he could bet something else than, so he could bet more bluffs here, but he had a 6, okay, and plus he was c-betting a lot out of position, and so I expect him to c-bet a lot of his aces there. Mi az, hogy nem hallasz semmit? Alright, so the situation is my cat doesn't want to come here, which is quite surprising. Maybe she will come later, the stream, because some of my friends when they come here and visit me, they enjoy being with my animal. So alright, we're gonna check call the flop. He bets pretty normal sizing. There's no other option. And we are going to check fold the turn. Alright, river is pretty good for us, I would say. And now, I'm not sure what he has, but we have the second nut, and we can shove value with ace 4, I guess. There's actually not much he can call with, but There's so many bluffs we could have. Alright, so yeah, I'm just checking out my stats. Right, next time if I'm gonna do a stream, then probably I will be doing or I will be providing some music maybe to make it much more entertaining, I would say. It's Red Bull time. Alright, with the tens versus an aggro guy, we're not really looking to either value bet or bluffs, so it's a very easy check, and we're gonna be check folding because versus one bet we have the equity to check call, and if we include a lot of air and yeah, a lot of merging hands, open-enders, pairs, blah blah blah, but we have to consider how often he's gonna bet the turn and river and what cards we can improve, and right now there are not many cards we can improve on. So table number 2 is an easy check, easy call, sorry. And it's also a call because the big blind doesn't really check raise much. So when he do check raise, he's check raising pot, which it means he's gonna commit himself, and we're gonna see the showdown, and he has a full rep, and yeah. All right, so Tanzhase, which means dancing rabbit, I guess, in German. He opens something like 20% from the cutoff small blind. And with the queens, we're gonna be peeling here with some 8x plus gut shot. So a lot of the gut shot hands, and on the turn he's gonna check a lot. A lot of the ace x, the king x, and he's gonna check some air. So we have some showdown value. We beat his air, we beat his 8x, and yeah, it's good. Versus this aggro guy, we're not really bothering. And yeah, when we check back the turn, I'm not saying we are capped, but we are not capped, but his range is much stronger. And since he bet half pot on the flop, we should be continuing every flush draw, every pair, some sort of gut shot, and I think, and we don't have to defend 1 minus alpha because he has range advantage and equity advantage, so we are allowed to fold more. So we don't have to defend the GTO defending range, which most people argue that 1 minus alpha concept is wrong. So I'm not sure. Tanzhase. All right, we are going to pot the river. It's because the small blind is likely to lead out the river with his full houses, and it's kind of I don't think that the button has a strong hand here. I would be pretty surprised if he would call with the queen here, because there is one more player behind him, but he could expect me to delay the turn with some king x, ace king, something. So I could be looked up with a queen here, right? Ace king is an easy call. I'm not sure why he was thinking, but most of his kings would bet the turn, so it was an okay bluff, and I wasn't worried about the small blind. Ez nem is a te macskád, mi csak a súra hoztad, az se tudja ki vagy, majd még is karma. Alright, so this cutoff was limp raising, and now we have the equity, plus we are out of position, and so, yeah, it means a lot of things, which I don't want to say now, and, alright, so it's gonna be a tough spot, I would say. Alright, we flop huge. Alright, now I expect the cutoff to shove his naked aces a lot, and when he turns a gut shot, or, you know, yeah, something like ace deuce, ace deuce, ace 3, ace 6, 7, something, and I'm not really sure. I'm not really worried about. Okay, now it's a very easy all in, because I'm not sure if how. Okay, we are fucked. I'm not sure how the button would play his sets and two pairs. I think his turn pot range is much more merging. And now maybe I shouldn't have betted the turn, because he's gonna most likely be check raising the flop with the strong top pair and check calling the second pair stuff. So yeah, his range is much stronger on the jack than mine, I would say. So he has much more jack than I have, I would say. And yeah, queen jack 6. Yeah, I think I'm going to play something like 40 minutes more. We will see. And I had a pretty good November in terms of hours I played. All right, so we are going to check call the flop here. Since we have the nut gut shot, and there's no need to bet here at all. And he's gonna stab here with a high frequency, I think. He's not gonna have that much 7x, because we are pretty deep, and the 7x he's gonna have, it's gonna contain the rundown, and he's gonna most likely be 3-betting them. Right, the small blind limping in from, he has 64 big blinds, and he's limp raising around 30% overall. So I expect him to limp raise here crazy. And right, let's see what rivers we can call down. This is a river I would definitely be calling. Since we block jacks and 8-7, the hands he could be having is 9-7, some 9-9 combination, I would say. All right, we're gonna give up here. Quads, okay. Yeah, it's pretty big, and Bob, it's too big. It's too big for us to call here, I would say. So and we have plenty of full houses as well. So and Bob is not really a bluff heavy guy on the river, so I'm gonna laugh and fold. No, obviously I respect Bob, yeah. But time has passed, and he's not a good player now. But obviously I respect him for playing a lot, and to realize that he's not a high stakes guy anymore. All right, King 10 7 5. All right, we're gonna delay the turn because it hits our range much better, and a lot of his kings or king queen would bet the flop. So yeah. And on the river, I would say that I am going to be potting here because he doesn't have 3-4, and a lot of the two pairs. Right. Let's see what he can call us with. Right, the hand I'm aiming to fold out here is, I'm not sure if he's gonna fold queens or how he would play queens. I think he would probably delay a lot of his jacks, X, right? And he's not going to, and a lot of his air would be c-betting the flop. So most likely hand is he's gonna have something like ace jack plus. The thing is how he constructs his late c-betting range. I think he doesn't c-bet, he doesn't delay c-bet much, so he's not really delay c-betting jack X that often because he's maybe fearing of getting check raised on the turn. So yeah, and he doesn't really play air this way, so he has some sort of value, I would say. Yeah. Dugó, nem jössz vissza a sóra? De mi van, Dugó? Also. Alright. With a double suited version, we don't fold any double suited hand versus under the gun. We defend all of them, either by calling or 3-betting, but mostly calling. And since he didn't c-bet the flop, we can exclude some hands from his range, and we don't have showdown value, plus we have some sort of equity, and we blocked the nut straight. It's an easy bet. All right, it seems there are not many foreign viewers. I would say crappy kings, middle position, it's an easy fold, I would say. Yeah, I don't like it. Alright, so Briatore bets half pot, and we are gonna deny some equity, and we are deep, plus we can extract value. He has something like 10x plus flush draw, or if he has kings, we have pretty good. I think the thing we're gonna do, I think with tens, he's much more likely to shove the flop, so he's capped at ace queen, I think, or something like 10-4 or something. I think that his mostly likely hand is this, or something like kings. So we were planning to bet the turn for some sort of protection and as value, and because we can get called by worse queen as well. But if he bets that's interesting. Since we have queens, a king or jacks, and we have a lot of weak hands, I think depending on the sizing, I can go ahead and check raise. They're gonna. Oh boy, I'm not sure. The sizing, I'm not gonna check raise because he is gonna have kings a lot. I'm not sure. I think so. If he doesn't have kings and he has value hands, what is he value betting? Nines. So I think, and he's very, very passive. So a lot of the times I think he has kings. Yeah. but I do have the odds to call. If the other guy would have bet the same size, I would probably check raise for value. Jacob. Alright, he open raised and potted the flop. We do have the equity. And if he pots the turn, we are most likely to call and planning to shove on. Okay, this is a good card. And this is a good card. We are just gonna check call. Alright, with this sizing he can value bet king jack, aces. Yeah, so it's an easy check call. Okay. Never mind. That was the more if we would have faced a pot size bet, then I'm obviously much more inclined to fold, but since he could have a lot of kings and jacks, but with this sizing his value bet range is much wider, so we beat a lot of his value bets. Alright, so small blind 3-bet, 150 bigs, and we're not gonna bother. Alright, so we 3-bet. Actually, the thing is what we're gonna do is to bet call versus the small stacks, because the SPR is 1 and we have the right equity versus the small stack with the backdoors, and we have a lot of fold equity versus him. And with the big stack we're just gonna check fold. Alright, this is a good turn, I would say, and even I think that the speed nuts is going to fold a lot, and I think we have the equity versus the button. So we can get away with betting this, and and actually both of them can fold. Yeah, so it's pretty good result for us. And we had ace high. So and this, and when the button calls here, and this is the spots I was referring to. So the SPR is 1, and when I bet this, he has to get it in with every pair, every flush draw, every straight draw, because in SPR of 1 on a flush draw board, even a naked open-ender has the equity to go along with it. So I'm not sure what the fuck he had. Alright, we open under gun, he defends, he's pretty needy player, 17/12 over 60 hands, so his calling range is gonna be high card hand, so we're gonna call the turn for sure. And since we didn't c-bet the flop, and this is a blank turn, he cannot really expect us to delay a lot, so he would much more likely to lead out with his values, so his turn check range is probably weak as fuck. Ivan Demidov from Russia, mother of Russia. I think he's kind of famous guy. Wasn't he the guy who not won the VSOP, but something he final tabled the VSOP main event some, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, 5 years ago? Alright, so Komarolo, he c-bet versus 2 guys, and we don't have a spade, and he could be betting and we have the equity versus ace-9 as well. He's not a guy who is bluffing a lot, I would say. And check. And his c-bet range, yeah, I don't like it. I mean, for him to bluff, he would have to turn ace-9 into bluff, which I don't think he would. He could have the 9-deuce combination, ace-king, 9-deuce. So he could have the 9-9, and I'm not sure what combinations he could turn into bluff. Plus, he's not that type of guy who's bluffing, so it's pretty sick check fold, but I would say versus him, there are some guys I would never fold versus, but he's a guy I would probably fold against. Yeah, it's right. What are my color labels mean? All right, so I've said it before, but I'm gonna tell once more. I don't use a pretty sophisticated labeling system. I have yellow for the weak regs. I have red for basically the good regs, the mediocre regs, and the top regs. So I don't really distinguish between them. All right. Straight flush, blocker, wrapping, bluffing, incoming. No, just kidding. It's not really a good idea to bluff a straight flush, but I would say probably I'm leaning towards doing it anyways, because I think button is going to call a lot, fold a lot. I think the thing is I'm going to do is I'm now targeting, because since I blocked 4, 7, 7, 9, I'm targeting his two pairs, his sets, which he's gonna have not many thing. I mean, you know, and if he somehow raises, I can probably shove. But obviously, he's not gonna c-bet this board. Okay. So I don't expect so the flushes he's gonna have is gonna be pretty high flushes. So he's gonna most likely be raising them and not by pot, I think. So if he's not raising with them by pot, which means he's raising less, he's not all in, then I can re-raise him. And he's not gonna raise his small flushes, which he's not gonna have that many of, because he 3-bet button versus MP. All right, we're gonna get it in. All right, so SPR. All right, flip, hold. Okay, good. All right, so we squeeze from the small blind. SPR is around 2.5. We have the nut gutter, and the button is a loose finish player. So we're just gonna put it and lose. Yeah. So he's not gonna have many mediocre flushes, I would say. So yeah, by betting big, we just narrow his range by only calling with either like a irrelevant blocker with some showdown value, or like a queen high flush or something. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I have the green for small fish, and I have the purple for whales. Yeah. And I'm gonna fold the sucker wrap. I'm not sure about this guy, but without equity, no turns we can barrel. It's pretty iffy. Not iffy. It's not even close to check fold the flop. Even versus this small sizing, I'm not sure we can continue. And the big blind is a very, very loose guy. He is very passive, so I'm gonna go ahead and start betting and go for the 3 streets. I would say if the board doesn't change, he's gonna have a lot of 2 pairs, a lot of sets, a lot of pair plus flush draws, and we have plenty of equity, and the 6 I'm not going to bluff. So we are gonna go ahead and check and lose. Yeah. because he's gonna have a lot of the two pair combination in his range. I was going to bluff. Blank. All right, versus this sizing and some backdoors. I'm going to call. Maybe I could consider raising, to be honest. But if he's giving up a lot of turns, then it's good to call. All right. But versus guys who are like barreling a lot, I would much more likely to raise because they are gonna be denying. But versus guys who are like barreling a lot, I would much more likely to raise because they are gonna be denying